Hello, my name should be on my channel.
I'm working on my outline template, but would now like to briefly present to you. Let's start with my topic. My topic states, do people have the right to freedom of speech? Interesting question. First of all, what is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech is a form of expression. Freedom of speech is used as a complex resource for American individuals to express ideas or opinions without governmental interference. This article is very important because freedom of speech is an essential right to use. It's a very essential right to use for expressing ideas and opinions to protest or say whatever that you need to say for someone to accept it that can possibly change something. This topic will include the First Amendment, freedom of assembly, the Constitution, and the overall statements about freedom of speech. Let's get to the thesis. My thesis: because freedom of speech is a constitutional right, people should use their rights to express their opinions without interference, limitation, and assemble peacefully. They should follow the First Amendment and the Constitution. The people should follow the Constitution and the First Amendment. I will get to my main point that will back up my thesis statement. Freedom of speech must be used privilegedly so people can express opinions and grievances without restrictions, which I will now back up my main point with evidence. According to the Gale Opposing View article, Freedom of Speech, it states the government cannot constitutionally restrict speeches based on the content of the speaker's messages. My evidence backs up my main point. My second main point, which include the First Amendment. The First Amendment assures constitutional rights and helps us as American citizens to protest, advocate, and assemble peacefully. Evidence that backs up my main point. My second main point, which is directly quoted from the Gale Opposing View article of freedom of assembly. It states freedom of assembly assures the right of the people to assemble peacefully, to petition the government without grievances. That backs up my second main point. My last point, which is my third main point. My last point. People should follow the Constitution and access the First Amendment as an advantage to improve their government and protect their fundamental rights. Evidence for supporting my third main point from the Gale Opposing View article called The First Amendment. The First Amendment article states the Supreme Court established 5 types of fundamental freedom that is protected, but not fully protected under the First Amendment, that subordinates with, in quotation, obscenity, close quotation. Which I will now get to my conclusion. Why is this important? Which I would like to read directly, my conclusion directly from my outline. Why is this important to me? Well, it matters and it's important because Public access to freedom of speech must be provided to all individuals, I believe, to use as a privilege to get whatever is necessary and express however he or she feels to indicate an issue. Because freedom of speech is protected by the First Amendment, and the First Amendment is granted by the Constitution as a fundamental public right. Therefore, freedom of speech should not be limited, and freedom of speech should be used to express one's opinions without interference and limitation from the government. This is really important. Freedom of speech matters a lot to me. And personally, I mean, I would like to say whatever I want to say, especially when it comes to talking, expressing um, my opinions, my belief, and what I feel to others, no matter what attention. I mean, especially if I'm doing it for a reason, like when it comes to fighting with words and advocacy, which is my main strength. So you fight with words is better than fight someone. And for y'all out there who actually have something against freedom of speech, try to think about the importance of freedom of speech before y'all be offensive on it, because they're just fighting with words. It's not they're putting their hands on you. So it's very important to use that, because freedom of speech is not supposed to be used as a bad thing. If you follow the First Amendment, you have to follow the First Amendment and follow the Constitution, because the Constitution is granted. It grants us that fundamental right, and the First Amendment protects that fundamental right. If people use it peacefully and respectfully. The fact is that people don't use it peacefully or respectfully. They overdo it and they don't do it right. It's too much obscene. So try to be careful. That's why it's very important, because now they're trying to limit freedom of speech, which is not good. We need freedom of speech, and we definitely need the First Amendment, and we need this fundamental right protected so we can give full access to freedom of speech to all individuals and Americans to protest and go against their government and address issues. Providing full access to speech under the First Amendment is controversial for humanity, I believe, because without this amendment, people would not be able to express their opinions, develop ideas, and petition the government. So it's very crucial. Well, I gave you the brief information about my outline and my um, conclusion. Provided enough information about freedom of speech, and I hope it was enough. I forbid you guys good day. It could be better.